In every corner of Africa, stories breathe, tales buried in dust, whispered through firelight. You're about to hear one of them. Welcome to African Horror Stories. Togo Folklore. The mask that didn't leave. The village did not fear the dead. They respected them. That was the difference. Every year, when the dry wind rolled across the land and the dust settled into the cracks of the earth, the elders would announce the coming of the Egungun. No one questioned it. They prepared. White cloths were hung outside homes, food was set aside, children were warned. Do not go near them. Do not call their names. Do not look beneath the mask, because what walked during Egungun was not a man. It was not something you were meant to understand. Kossi had grown up hearing those warnings, and like most warnings given to children, they had slowly turned into something else: curiosity. He was 17 now, old enough to stand with the men, old enough to pretend he was not afraid, but still young enough to make a mistake. The first drumbeat came just before sunset, low, slow, like a heartbeat pressing against the air. People stepped out of their homes, not smiling, not speaking loudly. Even laughter felt inappropriate. Kossi stood near the edge of the gathering, arms folded, trying to look uninterested. Then the Egungun arrived. They came from the far end of the village, where the path met the forest. Tall figures wrapped in layers of cloth, red, white, deep indigo, patterns that moved even when the wind did not. Their faces were hidden behind carved masks, elongated, expressionless. But it was not the masks that made people step back. It was the way they moved. Not like men, not like anything Kossi had seen before. Their steps were too smooth, too controlled, like something inside them knew exactly where every foot would land before it touched the ground. The drums grew louder. The Egungun began to dance. The villagers lowered their heads, even the elders. Even Kossi's father, who feared nothing, stood still with his eyes fixed on the ground. Kossi hesitated, just for a second. Then he looked. At first nothing happened, just swirling cloth, the sound of beads rattling, the rhythm of drums. Then one of them stopped, mid-movement. Its head turned, slowly, directly toward him. Kossi felt his chest tighten. No, it wasn't possible. There were dozens of people here. He was just one boy. But the mask was facing him, looking at him. He dropped his gaze immediately, heart pounding. The drums continued. The dancing resumed. And just like that, it was over. Or at least, it should have been. That night the village slept early. No one wanted to be awake when the spirits walked freely. Kossi lay on his mat, staring at the ceiling, replaying the moment in his head. The way the mask had turned, the way it had found him. "It's nothing," he whispered to himself. "Just your imagination." Eventually, exhaustion pulled him under. The sound woke him, soft, like fabric dragging across the ground. Kossi opened his eyes. The room was dark. The air felt heavy. Then he heard it again, closer. Shh. He sat up slowly. His heart was already racing, like it knew something his mind hadn't caught up to yet. The door to the hut was slightly open. He was sure it had been closed. Shh. The sound came from outside, right outside. Kossi swallowed hard. Every instinct told him not to move, to stay exactly where he was, to pretend he heard nothing. But curiosity, again, that stupid, dangerous curiosity. He stood up, slowly. Each step toward the door felt heavier than the last. The air grew colder, thicker, like walking into water. His hand reached the door, paused, then pushed it open. At first he saw nothing, just darkness and the faint outline of the village under moonlight. Then movement. Standing in the center of the clearing was an Egungun.
It wasn't dancing. It wasn't moving. It was just standing there, facing his hut. Kossi's breath caught in his throat. No drums, no crowd, no ritual. This was wrong. The cloth hung unnaturally still despite the wind. The mask tilted slightly, like it was studying him. "You're not supposed to be here," Kossi whispered. The moment the words left his mouth, he knew he had made a mistake. The Egungun moved, not with the rhythm of the dance, not with grace. It stepped forward, slow, deliberate. Kossi stumbled back, nearly falling. His body finally caught up to the danger. He turned and ran inside, slamming the door shut, pressing his back against it. Silence. For a moment, there was nothing. No sound, no movement, just his own breathing. Then, a soft knock. Kossi froze. Knock. His mind screamed at him not to respond, not to move, not to breathe. Knock. The door creaked, slowly, as if something on the other side was testing it. "Go away," he whispered, barely audible. "I didn't mean to look. I'm sorry." The knocking stopped. Silence returned. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Kossi didn't move, didn't sleep, didn't even blink. Eventually, the weight in the air lifted. The night returned to normal, and somewhere in the distance, the drums began again. Morning came like a lie, bright, warm, ordinary. Too ordinary. Kossi stepped outside cautiously. The village looked the same. People moved about, talking quietly, as if nothing had happened, as if the night had not existed. He almost convinced himself it hadn't, until he saw the ground. Footprints, leading from the center of the clearing, straight to his door. And then, back towards the forest. Kossi followed them with his eyes, his stomach twisting. Something was wrong. Something was still wrong. That was when he noticed the cloth. A small piece, caught on the edge of his door. Deep indigo. the same color of the Egungun that had stopped during the dance. His hands trembled as he reached for it. The moment his fingers touched the fabric, a voice whispered behind him, "You looked." Kossi turned, slowly. Standing at the edge of the village was the Egungun, in daylight, and this time it was not wearing a mask. Kossi's scream never left his throat, because the face staring back at him was his own.
That's all for today. If you liked the video, let me know by hitting like. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe for more. You can watch another video of mine right here. See you next time.